Hello, Kathleen. How are you?
Oh, I'm excellent. How are you?
I am so good. I'm having such a good day.
I have to mute your stream 1 sec. Okay, phew. I was speech jamming myself.
Oh,
I
yeah.
also have the ability, like, I'm sending you a camera if you want to do more tech work, or I can send you one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's simple enough. I think I already even have the thing ready to go. Yeah. Yeah, if you just share your camera through the call,
All
it'll be
right.
on screen.
Okay. Turn on camera. There we go.
Why do I not see it? It says camera's muted on your end.
Oh, no. I'm seeing it in my preview. That's weird. Oh, well.
Oh, now it's there.
Okay. Good.
Maybe it's
Phew.
it might have been that I had your camera muted, actually. I don't know.
Discord's a free program. That's what I always say about it.
True.
This may be prompted by the fact that I was like, I should send you a Discord friend request. And then I looked at the new app and I was like, how the hell do I do that?
I have gotten lost in the Discord menus a couple of times.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Kathleen. I'm from LoadingReadyRun. We are magic people. I'm going to go send a social media post about this, but I'm just here to hang out and talk about fun stuff. Yeah. I had some fun gaming moments this year, some real highs, and it was, but in an otherwise difficult year. How about you? How was your year?
Oh, you know, I'm sure parts of it were difficult, but I have spent so long this week focusing on positive things that they're all washed from my brain.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of the goal this year. I feel increasingly that what I focus on is what I remember. And so
that's really smart.
Yeah, I've been trying to focus on the positive more and more and more in my life.
That sounds like the advice of a wise and well organized mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I must have picked it up from somewhere else. My year in gaming, I think the highlight of my year in gaming was actually Brotato, which is not perhaps the one most people would think of, but I've put in 500 hours of Brotato this year. Do you know Brotato?
I do not know Brotato.
The idea of Brotato is you are a potato. You have 6 arms.
Okay.
You can hold a gun in all 6 of them, but you don't have to shoot the guns or anything. You just walk around kind of a square, and it's kind of arcadey. You have to survive for like 60 seconds. Your guns will shoot at the enemies as they spawn, and then after you have survived, you get to go to a shop and spend all of the materials that you have won from the enemies you have defeated.
Oh, and make better guns.
And then you do it again. And it's a roguelike experience, so there are 20 waves. You get through a run in like 20 to 30 minutes. It's just a really nice bite-sized... It's kind of like a shoot 'em up, but you don't even shoot the guns, and all you're controlling is like you move your analog stick to walk around the screen to dodge the enemies.
You're just moving the potato.
Mm-hmm. You don't even have a dodge button or anything. Like, you move like a potato might.
It sounds good if you are like me and are overwhelmed by having to press more than one button at a time.
Absolutely. So I was actually quoted in The Atlantic as a Brotato expert because of all of this year, which was an honor. And the writer, Yair Rosenberg, coined the term walk 'em ups for these games, because they're like shoot 'em ups, but like if you were just kind of vibing and walking around instead of actually, you know, engaging in violent combat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I loved my 500 hours of Brotato. I've kind of moved on from it, but I was like up in the middle of the night making spreadsheets, trying to work out different values of different weapons and things like that. And I'm increasingly surprised at how complex a game can be with only one input. I've grown to appreciate racing games a lot more, which are largely just like accelerate, brake, and steer. And then Rotato has just the analog stick moving around. I've actually gotten to a point where if a game has more than like 3 inputs, I look at it suspiciously. Like, why did you need all of these? Surely, with some more thought, we could have gotten this down to 2.
I love that. So, like, where do you, sorry to immediately sidetrack you, where do you consider, like, a traditional JRPG? That's technically a one-input game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Like, visual novels, I think, are largely one input as well, and some of the best games.
They're all my favorite games.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's a game that is really intense control schema that I've enjoyed this year. And I'm not sure that there really is.
So you've just gotten back to the basics. What you're looking for is like solid mechanics and considering you were making spreadsheets, I would say a robust and well implemented mathematical background to be optimized.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and yes, I think I want to be able to make interesting strategic decisions without things getting in my way. I think that's what I really want. So I don't want a game that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different cards or whatever, because that's just too many to learn. I don't want a game like Scrabble where you have to like know all of the words before you can think about what the right one to play is.
Right.
Way too much thinking.
You'd probably really like Wingspan. Have you played Wingspan?
I have had people play Wingspan at a party I was hosting, and I was on one of their teams, but I was hosting the party. So I know somebody got a bird with a lot of cards under it, and that got them lots of points. The joke was that we could decide the winner of the game with a measuring tape instead of counting. But I don't actually understand how the game works, not really. I was running around getting drinks for people and stuff.
That makes perfect sense. I would not say it's the kind of game that you could give your half attention to, but I know that I've played Wingspan, and I would describe the board game playing environment at the Loading Ready Run office as spiky.
Okay.
Like, not that people are like, like mean-spirited or anything. It's just like people like to figure out, and I'm included in this environment, figure out how game rules work and then see if they can be as efficient as possible at working them, because we all play a lot of Magic the Gathering. Sure. And so I know you know how to play Magic because you've come up to my office to play it.
Yep.
And so if you're it's like recognizing little like cards that work together well mechanically and building your specific bird engine based on what comes up and stuff like that. And so that from like an optimization and like figuring out kind of way is very good. Also,
I heard
you get to
it.
birds.
Yeah, the birds are very cute. I have a community member she has so much more than that, but a person who comes to my monthly game nights in Seattle has been making a lot of bird art, and I believe did a lot of art for like fan art, alternate art pack for Wingspan that exists. I don't know enough about this to actually speak authoritatively on it, but I appreciate looking at the pretty birds. That's another thing I have enjoyed this year is like getting outside in nature a lot more. I have fought very hard to get my weekends back from my job this year, because as a content creator, that is not a guarantee unless you make sure you make it happen. Rail,
yeah.
Thanks so much for the $100 donation to support Free to Love. That's incredibly kind. We are supporting Free to Love today, Kathleen, and they are an awesome organization. You already know all of this, but they are an awesome organization which funds art programs for children and teaches children to love and accept themselves and others, while like teaching them to function in the language of creativity, which I think is a language you and I both speak and appreciate.
I definitely agree. When you sent me the brief, I was like, oh, what a nice charity. That sounds lovely.
Yeah. And they're so lovely. Headquartered here in Seattle, Washington, so pretty local.
Amazing.
Do you consider Seattle local to you? It's interesting. It is a completely different country, but it's also so nearby.
Yeah, it's a place I've been to, and especially when I was before I had my daughter, and I've been. It's easy to get to because you could just take a boat, and I've been to Seattle so many times. I have tested multiple different methods of entry, and can I tell you something that I have learned? So yes, I consider Seattle local.
Please do.
But border crossing security and attitude and stress levels are inversely proportional to the amount of money that you have spent to get into the country.
Really?
Yes.
So...
I can tell you this because I have taken a bus to Seattle.
Okay.
And that was bad. Okay. Very bad. And I have taken a seaplane, which is basically the bus is the cheapest way to get there. And a seaplane is the most bougie because you're talking, it's like probably $250 or something like that, possibly more if it's a busy time of day.
The boat isn't that much cheaper. The boat is surprisingly expensive, like 180 or something for the cheaper.
Yeah, well,
seats,
it's like, but it's return, isn't it? Though.
Oh, that's one way.
The seaplane is $250 one way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it is extremely expensive.
I am understanding what you're saying now. Wow.
Yeah. So, but because you're coming in with like 6 other rich people traveling for business, they're just like, hello, welcome to the States. I have the cushiest job in the border service. What do you got in your suitcase? No one's going to look at it. Like, this is not me telling anyone to do anything, but I'm just saying.
All right. I want to ask you about writing for Wizards of the Coast, because that was a thing I didn't know you were doing, and then I looked at my timeline one day, and you were.
Oh. Well, I have done that. I have done that for a couple of years now. I did my first flavor. I was invited very generously to do my first flavor text set for when they did Unfinity, which was the most recent joke set. And it was me and Graham and Cameron from LoadingReadyRun, and also Austin Bridges and Mark Rosewater, and I believe was there one more person? It's hard to remember, and of course I can't look at anything from this. It's all gone, right? It's in the Wizards archives. So it's not like I can go check anything. And I have a bad memory, but it was so fun and so unique and so delightful, and I really put my whole ass into it because I really enjoyed doing it. And made some really good puns, and then because I did a good job, presumably I assume I've been invited back to do a couple of more sets, including the set that's going to come out soon, which is Murders at Markov Manor, or Karlov Manor. I did the thing.
Murder? Is it like a murder mystery themed set?
Sort of. I don't know. We don't know the full details of the set yet, but there's some web fiction that suggests it is a murder mystery. We've seen things like magnifying glasses and stuff like that.
Ooh.
So there's think of it as there's a card that's like called Meddling Youths, and it shows like 3 kids ripping a mask off a guy. So it's got, there's, people investigating things and, that kind of stuff. It's cool, but it's also set on Ravnica, which is just the best plane in Magic and my favorite plane. So I was pretty excited when they're like, are you free to do some flavor text? And I went, yes, I am free at this time. And they went, okay, here's the details of the set. And it was a Ravnica set. I lost my mind. I was like, oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely... Ms. Shamano says, and their dog. I definitely was immediately hoping that this is secretly a Scooby-Doo crossover. I can't talk. I don't want to get in trouble, so I can't say anything. All right.
But I can talk very specifically about...
speculate alone.
Yes. I can talk very specifically about cards that have been revealed and what's in the web fiction, because the first chapter of the web fiction is up. And I'm a big Vorthos. That's the Magic the Gathering term for Jorbs chat. For people who really are into the story of Magic the Gathering. So.
I worked on a game for the first time like 5 years ago. Not this year, but a while ago. And I was astounded at how hard it was for me to remember what we had announced versus what I knew. Like at some point I just knew so much, and so many different interviews and announcements had been posted, and I just had to stop answering questions about the game. I was like, look, I don't know what I can say and what I can't say to answer that question, so you're just going to have to ask somebody else. I'm sorry.
I think that's very fair. I think that's probably the position I'd find myself very quickly in as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that, and I'm really, really excited for that to happen. But the vagaries of writing flavor text didn't really do that in 2023. But what I did do that was cool in Magic in 2023 is I played some live Commander on stage.
Okay.
Because at the Magic cons, they have a main stage entertainment, and Game Nights does something called Game Nights Live. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, because Voxy does Game Night stuff. I haven't actually seen it, but I see her announcements about it, and hear about it a bit.
Yeah, so it is basically designed as like spectator Magic, so it's like costumes, right? Audience interaction, and trying to be goofy and fun and silly, but also you have a live audience of a whole bunch of people watching you, and you should also play good Magic. Think of it as like a PPR with a live audience who can yell at you if you miss a line that they've invented.
You made it sound less enjoyable. You were like, really cool, I did this great thing. And then you described the most stressful thing imaginable. No, it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome.
Well, that's just my personal take on the matter. Okay. But I like Commander, and I like strategy games. So we did it at Game Nights Live in Minneapolis. I was playing a Rankle and Torbrand themed deck, and it was so it was like red blacks hyper aggro, and it was really fun and really cool. And I won that, and so I got to win a live game of Magic on stage, and that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then due to how the schedule shook out, I had to go back to Las Vegas and do that all over again because I was the champion from Minneapolis. And of course, Las Vegas is like that, but with even more production value and even wilder stuff and an even bigger audience and an even bigger stakes on the line, because it's the grand championship fighting against all the people who had won the other ones. So that was Rachel, Jimmy, and Josh, all three of whom work at the Command Zone full time, playing, thinking, living, breathing Commander, and me.
Well, it sounds like an awesome experience. Did you win in Vegas as well?
Yes.
Well done. Well done. That's awesome. Thank you, the Thorgot, for the $76.61 donation to support. We love, massively appreciate that. That's awesome. I had kind of a similar Magic experience, actually. I got invited by Caleb to be his partner for the Twitch Rivals event that happened recently through Magic Arena. It was just a fun event. It was like a dedicated Magic streamer partners with another content creator. They pre-built decks for us using the new standard cards, and we did a round robin and then a playoffs, and you were only allowed to use each deck once per stage of the tournament. So there were 10 decks total to choose from, and we had to use 3 for each stage, basically. And Caleb was like, I know you haven't played Magic very much in a very long time. I know you haven't read all the cards. That's okay. You don't need to do that. I'm not expecting you to do that. You just play like the mono-red aggro deck. Looks pretty simple. This deck looks pretty simple. This deck looks pretty simple. And I behaved very well for the round robin. I was lovely. And we went 2-1, but due to tiebreakers, we were placed into loser's bracket, unfortunately. But that was fine. So we went through the loser's bracket, and we got to the loser's bracket finals. And I decided that I was going to be ungovernable. So like I won my losers bracket finals and he lost his, which meant that we had to do a tiebreaker against the other team. And Twitch decided tiebreaker rules where we sent out one of our players and the other team sent out one of their players, and we all played with a deck that we hadn't played yet. And Caleb was like assuming that he could go because he is the person who is good at Magic among the two of us. But I told him, I'd like to go. I think I can carry the team. And he was like, if you do that, will you play the red deck? And I was like, I'm part of this team too. I should be allowed to go. And so we flipped a coin and I got to play. And I chose the most complicated deck. I decided...
What colors was it?
Orzhov. It was Orzhov midrange. Wait, no, it wasn't. See, I don't even know the names. I don't even know the names. It was Orzhov plus blue. What is that?
Esper.
Esper. Okay. It was. See, I don't even know the name. It was.
But those are all like the best value colors, though. Like, to be honest with you.
Agree. It was Esper, and it had an equipment that could connive, I think, or maybe it had an equipment that could get a +1/+1 counter and a creature that could connive. See, I never read the cards really. I just kind of went out there and figured I'd do Caleb proud, and I made 3 game-losing mistakes and still won. And it was.
See, that's because the cards are so wonderful.
Good. Yes, the cards were a lot better than my opponent's cards, in my opinion. I just chose the right deck.
Playing?
You would think I'd be able to remember that. I think they were the black-red deck, maybe.
Interesting.
Some sort of value deck of some sort, like value mid-range. I think my deck should have been favored in the matchup. I think like my value was better than their value, and they weren't fast enough to get me dead before my stuff took over. That was my read on the situation.
Interesting. That sounds honestly very fun. So good for you.
And then I got on call with Caleb after, because he wasn't allowed to be on call with me while I was playing, and he was... Yep. Yeah, he was. And he was explaining all of the ways in which I had made a terrible misplay that could have lost me the game, and I just started laughing so hard. It was just the most fun I've had playing Magic in a long time.
Oh, that sounds very fun. Honestly, that sounds amazing.
Yes. And Caleb knew what he was signing up for when he asked me to be his partner. I wouldn't have done that to many people, but I'm okay with doing that to Caleb. Me and Caleb are tight.
That's always good to know. Like, to know exactly how many of buttons you can press per friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What happened after we won the losers bracket? Oh, that was it. We got yeah, the losers bracket didn't feed into a final against like the winners of the upper bracket or whatever.
But you were at the top of the losers bracket.
Yeah. The best losers in the tournament.
I mean,
well done us.
That's not nothing. I'd be happy with that.
I'm incredibly happy. It was one of my best competitive experiences of maybe my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, what an amazing gaming high this year.
Yeah. I have had a difficult relationship with competing in games. At some point in my life, I realized I was way too invested in winning these games that I was playing, and it just wasn't that big a deal. And for me, the way that I solved that was to just stop competing at games, which worked fine, but it did mean that there were a bunch of things I didn't really feel comfortable doing anymore. And so getting back to a point where I felt comfortable doing something like that and had a good time was pretty nice for me.
You have reached the Zen level where you can divorce yourself from the stakes and just enjoy, you know, the core of the experience, the thrill of the decision making, and you know, the victory and stuff like that.
And also laughing at Caleb, yeah.
That's the secret. That's the ascension of your understanding, is you just have to be able to make Caleb stress out. Does he know? Have you told him, like, he's...
Oh, he knows.
Okay. Are you going to invite him to any other tournaments?
Is he going to invite me to any other tournaments? Oh,
mean,
actually,
why
that's
don't
a
you?
good point, because they'll reach out to me as the magic creator now, after I won that one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Also, like why don't you just sign him up for a game that he doesn't know how to play very well, like Dance Dance Revolution? You two in a Dance Dance
We would
Revolution
be
tournament.
a killer team.
I think so. Actually, I don't know him, so I don't know if he doesn't know how to play or not. But like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Competitive Pikmin.
I think we would be excellent at it. I think that Caleb and I have very good guy movie energy together, and I think we could bring that to really any sort of event. DDR being so kinetic feels like a particularly fun one.
I think that if I somehow had to become entered in a Dance Dance Revolution tournament, I would definitely fail immediately, but I would have a good time doing it. Just because, I don't know, anything where you actually have to physically move yourself is always kind of fun. When you were talking about going for walks and getting outside and sort of prioritizing nature earlier, I've been trying to do that as well, because I do think it improves your mental health when you exercise and you move your body.
Isn't that frustrating? I feel so much better when I spend like an hour going for a walk and lifting something above my head in a day. And it would just be so nice if I could just feel this good without doing that, because I would have so much more time.
Well, this is because I am a Magic player. This is my I like to optimize my physical time, like my time that I spend in the world as well. Okay. But I realized that spending an hour to walk to work really is honestly like a mega efficient use of my time, because I get to walk for an hour.
Yeah.
Right? That's good for my body. That's good for my brain. Hell yeah. I've gotten some outdoor like exposure time, that's always nice. Get away from a screen. That's good for like long-term eye health and stuff like that. Like lots of benefits there. I get to listen to an album, right? So I'm listening to music. That's good because I do a music stream every week, so it's research time. I get to think about like problems for work, right? I get to have a little like brain development time where I'm, how can I solve this problem? What kind of thing should happen here, right? If I'm trying to write something creative, and I'm saving bus money. Ultimate in optimized time. Save $2.50.
It is extremely optimized. My dad got into walking to work
really?
1 year, and it was like maybe a 30 to 40 minute walk for him. Up and down a hill, so it was a bit strenuous. And he enjoyed it and kept at it, and then next year he hiked Mount Rainier.
Whoa!
So it's also a small thing you can start doing, and then all of a sudden, once you're moving, like once you get the snowball rolling down a hill, who knows what's going to happen from there. I have been dating this year. I have found someone I have been dating for a while, and I quite like her. That's a wonderful thing that's happened in my life this year. And she lives a couple of buses away from me, and I worked out that I could stop riding the first bus like 2 stops early and take a 20-minute walk through the park to get to the second one, instead of riding the first one all the way to where I transferred.
Oh.
And it was kind of a novel idea for me, because transit directions are very optimized for time spent. Google knows how to tell you how to get somewhere in the fewest number of minutes, and doesn't think about something like, would this person like a 20-minute detour to walk through the park? That's not a thing Google would think about at all. But I worked it out for myself, and I love it. And so a lot of days when I head over to her place to have dinner with her after work, I get like a 20-minute bus ride to a 20-minute walk through the park to a 20-minute bus ride. And then I like get to her and I'm like just decompressed, chill in my element, had a little bit of exercise, all ready to be outside of my job mindset. And it is so nice. I read this thing long time ago that like the 2 things that always predicted unhappiness in people were uncontrollable noise and commute time.
Mm.
There are lots of other things that can make someone happy or unhappy, but like studies were showing that those were the two things that seemed to hold true everywhere.
That's like the stuff that like really triggers people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can relate to the uncontrollable noise because I have lived
Yeah.
next to a construction site before. That is not fun. But the commute thing, it's like, I am kind of loving having a commute. I always was like, it's so nice that I don't have a commute as a streamer. I just have to get out of bed and then walk to my desk and then work. And then I go back to my bed and sleep. And then I wake up the next day and do it again. And I think maybe life has room to be more complex than that. Is something that I'm discovering for myself.
Yeah. I realized during the pandemic that I missed going to work a lot, and I didn't like working from home all the time and never going anywhere, doing anything. And now I'm actually almost incapable of working productively from home. Like I kind of have to go into my office because when I'm at home, I just am. I don't know. My brain's like, I don't want to. I refuse.
Yeah.
It sort of just has a little temper tantrum.
It is nice to have a working space, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone in chat said, doesn't walking the same route every day get monotonous and eventually boring? It's like, well, I'm very fortunate because if I walk to work, the more you walk, the faster you get at walking. So you can start doing things like, what if I walk down here? What if I go over this way? What if I do that? Right? And then you find weird alternate routes and occasionally dead ends.
Would you say that walking is like a Metroidvania?
Yes. What an excellent way of describing it.
I don't actually really know what a Metroidvania is. I've never played Metroid, but it seemed like that was vaguely what it was.
Well, I mean, eventually you uncover more and more of the map, right? Like as you go back and retrace your steps over and over again, you add to your known area. So Victoria, where I live, there's like hidden pedestrian pass-throughs at the ends of certain streets that are like not on the map. Like you look at Google Maps, and unless you like zoom in to the highest level, they're not there. So you have to kind of already know what you're looking for. Or on some of the like street signs, there's like a tiny little yellow corner on some of them with a little tiny pedestrian. Like I'm talking, it's like 1/100th of the street sign. Maybe like one. Yeah, it's a very small corner, just at the very corner.
You're saying it's a pixel perfect trick. That's what you're saying.
Basically, it's yeah. So I've been walking around and finding secret things. So sometimes I end up going down streets that I think I should be able to get out of, but I can't. And then I always worry that I'm gonna freak people out because I'm just like aimlessly walking up and down a dead end street that everybody who lives on the street knows is a dead end street. So what the hell am I doing here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Victoria has some mazes. Last time I was there, Surge took me into some sort of courtyard that you could enter from like every direction, but you couldn't see the street outside from within it.
Did it have a basement and a brewery in the bottom?
I think so. It was like 3 floors. It had like a computing school on the 3rd level or something.
Yeah, that's Market Square.
Yeah, it was wild. I was so lost. And then he took me to Chinatown, which Victoria says is the oldest Chinatown, but actually Chinatown used to be somewhere else in Victoria, and then they moved it. So
it's not the original Chinatown. Oh, well then.
That's what he told me. I don't know.
I mean, I believe it. I feel like Sturge has the local lore.
Yes.
And but our Chinatown does have several cool alleyways. Well, it's like 3, but they're fun.
I got the full tourist experience. Yeah, coming to Victoria and hanging out with people was definitely one of the highlights for me of the year. We've done like river floats and things like that. Seeing Surge is so lovely. I like Surge so much.
Surge is such a good person.
He is, and he makes you feel like you're a good person. Not that I'm like a terrible person or anything, but I feel more like a good person when I'm hanging out with Serge than I feel like I do at any other time in my life.
I just feel like I can't behave as badly as I might normally around Serge. I try not to behave badly anyhow. You know how, like, you can, once you get to, I would say, somewhere in your 30s, you can kind of, like, have a good pinned down idea of what kind of person you are.
You get better and better and better at understanding how this machine that you are stuck in works.
Yeah.
And then a pandemic happens and you get really confused again. But I think I'm working it out.
When I've been fortunate to know some of the nicest, sweetest people that I think possibly exist on Earth. I know Serge, and I know my husband Graham, and they're both very pure of heart. And getting to know them made me realize that I was not. I'm literally the opposite. I have evil inclinations, but when I hang out with people like Serge and Graham, I'm like, no, be good, Kathleen. You can fight that urge. You don't always have to do the worst thing.
Did you play any Baldur's Gate 3?
I have not had time to play it yet, but I really want to.
I had a segue, but if you haven't played it, I will not spoil anything for you at all. I
would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Have you ever played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games?
I have not.
No. Drat. They have a complicated moral choice system, which I've always enjoyed. So I feel like it's not got a patch on Baldur's Gate, but maybe a similar thing. I want to play that very badly, but I've been working on other stuff, so.
Yeah. What? Talked about game nights. Talked about writing for Wizards. There was another thing I was going to ask you about, wasn't there?
Can I ask you? Oh, yes. I want to ask you about something. What's your favorite music that you've listened to this year? It doesn't have to be from this year.
I think this year I've gotten a lot more into Phoebe Bridgers and Taylor Swift, which is very basic of me.
Yeah.
But it's also wonderful, and I do not regret it in any way.
Good. I don't think that anyone should ever regret what kind of music they enjoy listening to, because, I don't know, I personally find music to be very nice to listen to. Do you find that listening to music kind of enhances your walks or just your day-to-day life?
I would struggle very much to stream anywhere near as much as I do if I didn't listen to music while I stream. That is 100% true. I know this from experience.
So what's your favorite streaming? Do you have different streaming music as to
I'm
just listening?
Eclectic. Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't listen to stuff that's super explicit on stream. It just feels like I'm not a family-friendly stream, but it feels like I want to be the one who's choosing not to be, not like my Spotify playlist or whatever.
Right. Interesting.
So yeah, when I am off stream, I will listen to a little bit more vulgar music.
Oh, what's the post watershed music that you listen to?
It's weird because I like this song kind of for the music video, but Run the Jewels. Nobody Speak.
Oh.
Run the Jewels, Nobody Speak is like I'm kind of wound up and need something to just jam to right now. And the music video for it is incredible. I do not actually watch the music videos of many songs, but there are some songs which will live forever in my heart in a very precious place because I like the music video so much. Another one is Down by the River by...
I don't know who sings that song. I'm sorry.
I'm looking it up. Delta Ray. What's the actual title? Bottom of the River. Bottom of the River by Delta Ray. Has a very it's not a high production value music video, which makes it even more precious. They have like some sort of hand dancing crew from a local fraternity in the background, dancing to the music as the singer basically goes through the motions of being tried as a witch in the distant past. It's it's like a little bit of a Halloween creepy vibe, but I would say it's appropriate for any situation, regardless.
Wow, that sounds a very cool video to watch. I love music. I don't tend to do a lot of music videos because I tend to like just listen to music while I'm out and about or something like that. I'm a unifocuser.
Sure.
Like, so if I'm typing, I might be listening to music just to sort of block outside noise, but there's no perception of what I'm listening to. Maybe it'll come in and out, but I'm not super aware of it.
I definitely catch the vibe when I'm listening to music on stream, but there are a lot of songs which I love and I don't know the names of because I have listened to them on stream and I didn't take a moment to look at what it was titled, and then it stopped playing and I moved on with my life.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. I've definitely had been listening to songs on a playlist and been like, wait, what was that? Wait, I need to go. What was that again? I need to go back and find it. Crap.
It is already wrong.
Yeah. So I remember I had a game. Well, I don't know if this is a game, but I had a highlight when you came up on my stream and you were like, hey, can I make a suggestion? And I was like, sure, absolutely. And what did you call her?
Tay-Tay?
And what did I say to you? I said, I don't know who that is, because I was not aware that that was one of Taylor Swift's nicknames. So I was basically, I have no idea who that is. Sure, that sounds great. And then you sent me a link to Taylor Swift, and I was like, wow, I feel like such an idiot.
That was fun. I was introduced to that song that I played for you by a woman I had just met that night who was like a friend of a friend who had just gone through a breakup and was not taking it great, and she sang it at karaoke in front of a bar full of people and chose the 10-minute long version and just kept going for a long time, occasionally breaking into spoken word to talk about how angry she was at her ex. And yeah, it was something. It was powerful. It was undeniably a powerful thing.
What an incredibly bold person. She sounds exhausting, honestly.
Yeah, we don't hang out anymore.
Sorry.
I mean, we never really did. It was just that one night. That was my only exposure to this human being.
What a powerful presence. Anyhow, I didn't mind the song. It was certain, and it was great. I enjoyed having it on there, and I enjoyed getting absolutely roasted at not knowing who Taylor Swift was. Somebody in chat was talking about music earlier, and they said, I thought the only thing that you listen to is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And it's like that. I mean, one, it's fun. Two, if you got to talk about a band, their name has very good mouthfeel. But I liked a lot of very eclectic music this year. But have you heard of a band called MS Paint, Jorbs?
No, I'm familiar with the computer program.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine. So imagine MS Paint. They are a trio of young men from Mississippi. They play in a band that is like a hardcore band, but they have no guitars. They just have drum, bass, and synth. And there's a lot of yelling, but it's just like, it's very uplifting music. So, I think it kind of fits with the vibe of this stream, and this was my favorite album that came out this year. It's just very fun and very, be empowered, kind of F that, kind of, This is what I spend my time listening to, the stuff that sounds like this, hopefully.
Is someone in there Clippy inspired?
I don't know why they named their band MS Paint, aside from the fact that I think that it's charmingly retro to them because they're in their 20s.
Ah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. Basically, I was like, are these people online? Is this why their band is named MS Paint? Because I feel like there's a certain kind of like online japery kind of vibe that would name a band MS Paint. Like DJ, like there's DJ Sabrina the Teenage DJ. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't. I miss out on cool, yeah, like the online space adjacent music. I listen to all the popular stuff. Not really because I'd prefer to, but because it is what the method I have of consuming music plays for me. Which is something I think about a decent amount. So I studied oral tradition in college. And I studied songs which had been sung for like 3,000 years and how they brought information from place to place and reversed millennia and also continents. And now I listen to internet radio, which plays the same pop music for me over and over again. And I do think about that a little bit sometimes. I'm not that upset about it.
I mean, the algorithm is determined by other like, I feel like, I mean, I think hopefully that this is really no different than the sort of the payola they had of radio stations, right? Before, you were also listening to what other people chose for you back in the old days.
True.
And so you know, you had the people like, I mean, but you also had lunatics who like did weird stuff. Like you had like Dr. Demento, which is how Weird Al got his start, because he was just playing weird music on like LA radio. And then you've always had like college stations which just play stuff that verges towards completely unlistenable, and that's coming from me. I have a high tolerance for that kind of stuff.
I think a type of music that we have lost quite a lot is the guitar guy at the party. It's in fact maligned now, the idea of a guy sitting down with a guitar at a party. It's like, don't do that, don't be the center of attention, don't etc, etc, etc.
Yeah, don't make it so no one else is allowed to talk or think about anything other than what's going on.
Which is completely fair, and I understand why we do that. But I do think that a lot of music, a lot of the way that you used to consume music in the world 200 years ago was someone at the party was making
He
music.
was the Spotify. They, you know, when cousin Jenny got on the computer, you're basically asking for the 18th century equivalent of the thong song, right? Play the hits.
Did they have the computer in the 18th century?
Well, okay, but you know what I mean. I meant piano,
not
okay. Computer.
Okay, I gotcha. I understand.
In my head, I could see it. I jumped but yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. I think that previously we didn't have like even before we had Spotify and stuff like that. You could, in the 80s, they invented the boombox. You could just bring music outside. You didn't have to have people with guitars.
Where are all the boomboxes now?
Oh, they're Bluetooth speakers.
My Bluetooth speakers could never really reach the same volume levels. Not quite the same.
No, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I have a pair two of them together for a surround sound experience. We've iterated to we have far too convenient solutions now for doing exactly the thing that we want. We don't have to listen to cousin Daryl and his slightly out of tune guitar because we want to hear most of Stairway to Heaven.
I do also think that when people performing music at parties was a normal thing, people were better at performing music that everyone would enjoy. Like people would dance to it, for example.
That's true.
Things like that.
Yeah, my example is very like based on my experience of like some guy at a bonfire at a campground.
We've gotten bad at it, Kathleen.
Yeah, but yeah, back in the 1600s, Somebody would just be coming out there with a hurdy-gurdy and blasting the hits, and everybody would be dancing.
Yeah, have you heard the Hurdy-Gurdy Man song? It's like 60 years old, you must have.
I'm pretty sure I have. I'm struggling to remember what it is right now. I'll look it up on the internet.
I think a cover of it was in the intro to... I don't remember which one it was, but like a new popular like HBO series or something, which brought me quite a lot of joy.
It's by Donovan. Why do I know that name? Scottish singer-songwriter Donovan. Recorded in April 1968. Sure, 78. It's only 50 years old.
55, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting up there. It's getting up there.
It's basically traditional music. What I think is kind of interesting is, like, think about when we were kids, and if you'd listened to music that was 60 years old, it would have been recorded in, like, the 1930s. And it would have been, like, wax cylinder-esque, right? It would have been, like, you know, some sort of depression ballad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
my parents
nowadays,
listened to, like, Cats and Les Mis, which, to me, that's music from the distant, distant past, but, like, that was actually just music that was coming out then for them.
Yeah. I feel like our generation listens to the music of the past in a way that other generations have not. Certainly because it's available in the way that it's not, like, you know, in the 1930s, only music that had really stood the test of time from 60 years ago would still be, like, available to consume, right? Or to hear and experience, I assume, because you didn't have, like, streaming and stuff like that. But I just feel like nowadays we have a perfect record of almost anything. So we can just be like, oh yeah, here's some music from the 1970s, which is like over 50 years old, but it still slaps, right? It's because, you know, it's got screaming in it.
Kristan Harris talks about the right to be forgotten as something that, giving examples of how we don't have to make laws for something until it becomes a thing that is relevant to our lives. And his point is that it used to be that you would die and get to be forgotten.
Right.
And nowadays, like, yeah, I'm putting all this stuff on YouTube. I don't know that YouTube will last forever, but there is a non-zero chance that after I die, someone will still be able to watch this stream, and that's kind of weird. And maybe we shouldn't have to sign up for that when we, like, do things online or create something or whatever. Maybe it should be okay to just, like, do something and be like, yeah, I'm just trying something out for the day.
I'm just a teenager drawing comics, right?
Exactly.
In a notebook.
Yes, no teenager needs us to remember what they did 160 years later or whatever.
I mean, although I will say, I feel like perhaps this is my pessimistic and evil nature. I do not think that we will be that organized to keep most of this stuff.
That's
because, like, we've been trying to, like, find old footage for, like, a podcast we've been doing, because Loading Ready Run has inexplicably been around for 20 years. Not me involved in the first couple of years. This was, like, Graham in his first year of university as a tiny baby with a couple of his friends, Paul and James and some other people. Anyhow, getting distracted. The point being, they're trying to find old stuff.
Yeah.
And on these 20-year-old devices, and some newer than that, like we're talking 15 to 10 as well. So, between 10 and 20 years old. Even though it's perfectly backed up reasonably, following things, stored not like, not the most lovingly, but not like in like a damp basement or anything like that, like, or near like a leaking hot water pipe, They've been kept pretty well, and just some of the hard drives don't work. Like, some of it's gone already. So we think it's kept forever, but
only the stuff that will really embarrass you.
Yeah, that's in a special folder. They bring it into RAM every once in a while as well. make sure it's all there. Hard drives are not good long-term storage, says CCEK. Is very true. But we thought they were at the time. And I mean, eventually, they don't have infinite server space. So eventually some of these teenage videos are going to have to be downloaded, I think.
Where are they right now? In the
what? The teenage YouTube videos?
Or?
I mean, they're on a server somewhere.
Oh, yes. The ones that are currently on YouTube. I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. Gotcha.
But, you know, eventually, I don't know when. I assume it will come in 10 years or so. You will have to, you know, check into an opt-in box to keep certain low-performing, unwatched videos online, or you can just opt to download and take them off, right? There'll be some sort of server purge, and a lot of people won't remember or never get those emails or whatever, and all of those will just go on a server somewhere to die.
And then we will talk about it, like the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But
There's
it might be for the best.
So much humanity gone. Probably for the, I think, yeah. More likely than not for the best, I would say.
Do you know what I think the best website on the entire internet is?
Zombocom.
Oh.
Was I right?
Okay, do you know what I think the second best website
I
on
was
the entire
right?
internet is? Yeah. Well, you made me reconsider my answer.
Okay. Fair enough.
Archive.org.
Yeah?
Yeah. Archive.org, I think, is the most fun that you can have online. You can just be like, what movies do you have from 1975? And my gosh, things that they have that they definitely shouldn't have. It's great. Watch all sorts of things. Like, basically, like, I found like forgotten Soviet sci-fi movies and any cartoon special or Muppets. Do you know Kate Bush did a Christmas special?
I did not.
Yeah, you can watch the Kate Bush Christmas special. It's honestly very her, so it's like kind of insane but charming and lovely, right? But it's like, wow, where did you get the idea to do these things? I'm glad you're doing them. I love you. But wow, what a vision. Like that's on there. All sorts of fun stuff.
Is that where you get when you do your weekly Discover New Music streams, is that what you watch? Like you pull up some video with subtitles, right? Is that from
well, sometimes it has subtitles, sometimes it doesn't. I got on a big streak. Went on a big streak of watching a show called Yuwara, which had been uploaded to archive.org by a fan subbing group. It's not available in North America. And the first like big story arc was really good, and then the second one had a very painful kind of like, it just hit like every negative stereotype of the 90s. I was like, oh, I just don't have the patience for this. Which was too bad.
Dear Crush, thanks for the $5 donation to support Free to Love. Do you have big exciting things coming up next year, or any resolutions?
For 2024, I am working on a new D&D campaign, so I'm excited to have that come out.
Not the first person who has mentioned a D&D campaign today.
Oh,
Cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, then it is the year of D&D.
That sounds like a good year to me.
Yeah. Mine is very limited. Mine will be, I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 10 episodes because we're doing it for Loading Ready Run, so it is
cool.
content and cannot go for infinite, which I think is a thing that more people should do, because I think everybody wants to play a D&D, but like the thought of having a standing engagement for a year is like, oh God, right? Like that's a lot of scheduling work. But if you're like, hey, can we do 6 sessions and then we've had an adventure and then maybe we'll bring back the characters later, or maybe we never have to play together again.
And just politely say our goodbyes, although they're your office mates, so I guess you will still see them.
Or you can politely say, look, this was really fun, but I just don't have the free time to do this. But always let me know, and I'll let you know if I'm available. And you're just polite politely never available again, you know.
Yeah. My, for a while, in lieu of having a steady campaign, my friend group had one-shots, and it was kind of a recurring theme that every one-shot was like 3 weeks long, because it just takes a long time to do things in D&D, especially when you're us, I guess.
Well, I mean, I feel like D&D characters, if they were in real life, would kind of have you... Oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. But you move around like... Basically, you're just sort of... No, you're basically just one of those video game characters that bumps into things and knocks things over. You're basically just it's just, no matter how serious you try to be, any kind of D&D campaign is just 4 Mr. Beans just plowing through the countryside, killing people accidentally, looting and pillaging.
Yeah, exactly as it should be.
Yeah. Somebody in chat says NPC. I always like designing NPCs. That's my favorite part of being a DM. It's just like, what's this person's deal? Well, I don't know what they're going to say to these people, but now I just get to sort of make myself a one-note character and figure out how rude I'm going to be to the party.
I have had, I think, 2 DMing experiences. Both of which I've enjoyed. 3? Maybe 3. I don't know if you count. There was one time I tried to make the game Space Alert within the 5th edition rule set, which was a strange choice to make, but I really liked the game Space Alert, so I enjoyed it. Even if the others didn't.
Oh.
They were polite about it. They seemed like they had fun. But one part of being a DM that I did really love was building my NPCs and building the world that the players were going to be in. And I got really into it, and I was really invested in my NPCs, and then we actually had the session. I think this was literally my first time ever DMing, so I didn't know any of the like pitfalls to look out for or anything like that. And I realized with like absolute horror at some point that I was in a situation where the NPCs were talking to each other. And so I was just saying like, and then this NPC says this, and then this NPC says this, and then the other NPC says this, and I was like, oh god, oh no. DMing
it's
is
hard.
tough. Yeah.
Well, think about this. You have to design a satisfying story. With interesting characters.
Yeah.
But you don't know how the main character will interact with anything that you've decided in the story, and if they will find any of the interesting characters, or if they will take a liking to the ones that you sort of ahead of time figured could be largely unimportant. Right?
Yeah. No, it's really tough.
It's completely non-linear, but then your players will experience in a linear fashion.
I have certainly grown a great appreciation for people who are good DMs in the recent past.
I feel like a good DM trick is that try to only give them one NPC to talk to at a time, because then they can't literally you can't get to a point where your NPCs are, but sometimes that can't happen, right? Like if you're doing like a big scene where you're resolving things, where you have like, I don't know, maybe the big boss and his henchmen, right? I think that's fine as long as you've had a chance to build those characters up. But also you don't feel afraid to give your characters just like, all right, this character, you can split your party up. Or you can say, this character, you know, this character is going to talk to this NPC, all right, and you can do a little one-on-one thing with them while other people like obviously not for like 20 minutes or so, but they can politely wait their turn, and then everybody gets a chance to do things, right? And they get a little chance to get a more involved role play because they're having a longer conversation, and you can direct them or guide them based on how your NPC behaves. And you can always ask them to describe things. It's like, oh, you rolled an 11. God, you just hit. What does that look like? And it's like, oh, wow. That's a nat 20. Okay, describe how you just completely destroy this dude, right?
Yes. Yeah, involving the audience in my campaigns, well, the audience, the players, was something that I did not understand at first, but something that I took away from DMing was that as a player, I can make it so much easier for the DM to run the session. If like the DM is feeding me something that I could go along with, I don't have to treat it with suspicion and think like the DM is my adversary. How do I make sure that I don't step into a trap here? I can instead be like, oh, the Thieves Guild is meeting over there. Let's go meet them and find out what's going on. Maybe they have a quest for us. And then the DM would be like, yes, I do have a quest for you. Exactly.
Yes.
Which was a much better way to play D&D than, yeah.
Then, okay, the sort of stereotype of, all right, you arrive in a tavern. You can see over there's a man in gray who looks suspicious but is beckoning you over. And over there, and you describe 3 different NPCs. Where do you want to go? And they're like, we leave the tavern and go down the street, right?
Yes. Well, first we try to rob everyone. We get in a fight with the village guard, and then we leave and start a shoe workshop, which is what we will be doing for the remainder of the 10 weeks.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I think I don't know who I want to credit this to, but I've heard the story sort of apocryphally. So I'm going to say I think it's from my friend Cameron. And he was talking about a game of high school D&D he played where they were a bunch of adventurers who had just taken a boat to Waterdeep, and they could see that their DM had this big binder of stuff. And he said, all right, what do you want to do? And then they immediately got on the boat. They got back on a boat and went to a different city. And their DM just looked at them and went, okay, you do that. You arrive at a different city. And he
got the same bind.
He basically was like, it looks a lot like Waterdeep. What do you want to do?
Yeah. There are lots of good little DMing tricks. I've talked to a lot of people who have tried to build large worlds. I tend to end up befriending people who want to make a huge homebrew world of D&D for whatever reason. Maybe it's the kind of gamer I am, I don't know. But something that keeps coming up is the idea of like, when you're building the world, you can have lots of caves, but you don't have to have something that's in every single one of them. You can just have like 3 different caves, and then you can use whichever one you feel like when somebody actually goes into a cave. It's like, oh, as someone who's like open world experiences like Skyrim, that's not how Skyrim does it. But as a human being, you can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also like, you don't have to like build a million things for every different contingency. I think it's also be like, you talk to your players and you do your session, and then afterwards you say, all right, well, what do you guys feel like doing for this plot? Like, because presumably at the end of your session, you've started your shoe shop, or you've, accepted the quest from the Thieves Guild, and then you say, okay, so next session, are you going to keep running the shoe shop? And they go, yeah, we're shoe merchants now. And you're like, great, okay. And then the DM can spend the next week and you can make them some interesting quests for shoe leather or something like that. So they still get to play D&D, even though they've decided they want to not do any of the things that you've prepared. But maybe it all relates back to the Thieves Guild anyhow.
Maybe someone starts stealing the shoes. What's going on? Maybe somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, this town has a mandated thievery allowance, and you're not letting us steal your shoes.
Oh.
I haven't played enough D&D. I'm kind of a monster as a D&D player. I just refuse to stay inside the box sometimes. May said in chat that I have never once made DMing easier for a DM, and that's like kind of true. But I think what you're missing there, May, is that I have an intentionally adversarial relationship with Alex, and we all love it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Higherbrow says, good DMing is knowing what NPCs and plots the players will encounter and letting the players figure out what skins and motivations lead there. I like to have things where it's like, you could do this, or you could do this. Or if you want to be thorough, I suppose you could do all of it, right? But eventually, you'll fall down the giant Plinko board of encounters and NPCs and into fighting some big bad guy, right? Is it the bad guy from this thing, or is it the bad guy from this thing? Sort of dramatically, I'm gesturing over to different sides of the Plinko board that might have taken you there. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get to the end, right? Kind of deal.
What's your favorite memory from D&D as a player?
My favorite memory from D&D as a player is I was playing a game that my friend Dale ran. I think that you would not be able to stymie Dale, because Dale's philosophy as a DM is I'm a helper. If you want something, I will of course say yes. Why would I say no? I don't want to remove your player agency. Saying no is no fun. So he's a very kind of yes and kind of guy. And we had decided that we were going to fight a demon, and it was a Gigglemancer. And that it was a class of demon that Dale had made up, because we were in Chult, which is a famously kind of like awful environment filled with like monsters and stuff. But also demons had gotten in there to make it even worse. And so we get there, and my character does not do well in this fight against the demon. In fact, I do very badly and almost die. And but I don't die because Dale says your character doesn't have to die, but you have to take some sort of like massive penalty, right? Like you are changed somehow by the demon magic. How do you want that to manifest? And I said, well, considering he shot me full of spikes, I should probably have some physical scars. And he's like, great, yep, physical scarring. And I was, but anyhow, we sort of worked it out between us that the magic had touched me in a way that I now had a literal demon tail.
Okay.
Like a weird scaled, iridescent demon tail from the Gigglemancer. But my character, with the incredibly just the worst skill of common sense, I was like, so can it be prehensile, Dale? And Dale's like, sure, but now it has to be longer. And I'm like, great, done. So my character, upon realizing she had a prehensile tail, was like, great, I'm into it. This is fabulous. Because my character was an idiot and refused to be repressed and just assumed that everything would work out for her, even in the face of increasingly things not working out very well for her. And I loved inhabiting that mindset of, yeah, sure, I'm working for a green dragon now, but like, she's got a pretty good dental plan kind of vibes.
Hey, Voxy, thanks for the raid.
Hi, Voxy.
We're hanging out with Kathleen right now. We are raising money this week for Free to Love, which is a charity which funds art programs for kids to teach kids to love and accept themselves and others through the language of creativity. They're pretty swell. I like them. If you don't know Voxy, you should know Voxy. Yeah, with the program. So cool. Voxy is very cool. Did you play with Voxy on game nights? Was she in the game?
No. She was in a different game nights that year.
Okay.
But I fought against Graham when I was in Minneapolis.
Oh. Is that like a point of contention in your relationship? Did Graham get to go to Vegas as well?
Well, he went to Vegas because he was going, but he did not play in the grand finals because he did not win the Minneapolis match. No, Graham was he is the most. Oh, Voxy, did Voxy host your show? Did you? No, it was Rachel. Rachel was hosting the Minneapolis show, but Voxy was at Vegas. But as I was saying, I think that I can't imagine anybody who would be more excited for me winning than Graham, even if I had to beat him to do it.
That makes sense. Who's that?
My cat's in the room and he's meowing for love, but... Come on. Get up here. 1 second.
Does he like to sit exactly out of arm reach of you for some inexplicable and infuriating reason? Because my cat does that.
Wow, wow, wow. No, he wants love and sometimes comes up for cuddles, but he also hates our other cat, and he saw our other cat, so he was coming in to tell me that the other cat is there, and he's upset about it.
Aww. It's a $10 donation to support Free to Love Rush, man. My cat interacts with me on occasion. He likes to announce that he has used the litter box. So when I moved into this house, I made the poor choice of setting up the litter boxes near enough to my stream setup that I can be affected by cats using the litter while I am streaming. And so I will notice that it is suddenly smelly, and then my cat will sit just barely out of arm reach of me and yowl at me.
That's what he came in to do.
Yeah. It's such a lovely relationship to have with my cat. It's simple. I understand the rules. I don't really know what he expects of me, but I don't feel like it's particularly high stakes, whatever it is.
He likes you though, right? Does he come and sit near you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Zephyr loves me to bits. He will cuddle with me in bed at night, but only when it's cold enough, which means he'll come and wake me up at like 3 a.m. and be like, human, it's cold now. Move so that I can cuddle most comfortably. Which is, you know, lovely and doesn't really aid my sleep. My sleep has been awful this week.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have 2 Maine Coons, so they're huge.
Oh, yeah.
And the big one, the white one, that you saw, likes to be in bed, and the brown one, the small one, wants to cuddle his big brother, who he just thinks is the best being in the universe, and Baxter hates him. And so in the middle of the night, because they sleep on my side of the bed because they know that I'm smaller and more easily bullied out of my space than Graham is. So in the middle of the night, I wake up because I'm sleeping on a funny angle, and I see that the 2 cats are together, and Baxter's asleep, and Finnegan's sleeping curled up beside him and licking his head. It's very sweet. But then Baxter woke up, realized what was happening, and hissed at him. He's like, nam, nam.
My cats have favorite spots in my house. And depending on how favorited a spot is, there can be a little power struggle over it, where, you know, one cat wants it, but the other one's theirs, so there's a little bit of a fight. They don't get super nasty with each other, but, you know, they'll compete a little bit for the spot. But if it's a really, really good spot, where it's not worth it to fight for it, they will, like, sleep in it on top of each other. So my favorite pictures of my cats are when, like, one of them has settled onto a blanket or whatever, and the other one is just, like, flopped directly on top, like a very large weighted blanket on the first cat. And it goes both directions, too. Like, who was there first changes.
Oh, so they're willing to cooperate, but only if the best spot is on the line.
Sometimes it's just not worth it to fight. Sometimes you can just share. It's just that good.
It's if only humans as a whole could think about that.
There are a lot of things we could learn from cats, like... No, that might actually just be it.
Cats apparently have really strong, like, gastrointestinal systems. It's really hard for cats to get, like, food poisoning because, you know, cats are kind of, you know, they're not... They'll like, wild cats are also, like, sometimes feeders of opportunity, and also they lick their own buttholes. So I think we could pick up some intestinal fortitude from cats.
All right.
That and the cooperation if there's a warm blanket.
And how to bathe ourselves a little better.
Oh, and how to cough up a hairball. That seems like a useful skill.
Probably less important before you start bathing yourself with your own tongue.
Yeah.
But then once you've started, like at that point, yeah.
It's essential.
Deal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely essential. I can't stress enough how he's literally just sitting beside my chair, being like, I don't want to do anything because the other cat, I saw him and I'm unhappy. Good grief.
Sounds like a big cutie.
He's very sweet. After he goes to the bathroom, he needs to have a cuddle, like, so he'll like come up and be like, mwah! And then like you realize that he's got like litter dust on his paws and he's just tracked it all up your shirt.
Oh.
He does that to Grandma all the time, and I always go, Papa, I have pooed. You had to use the litter box.
All right. Is there anything you would like to leave us with? I got asked a really good question actually by someone else. If you could describe the most important thing for you to have other people take away from what you do as a content creator, what would it be?
That's such a good question.
Isn't it?
I would say that I think that what I would do is tell people, God, this is a really, really difficult question. I need a second to formulate my thoughts.
Please. We're not in a rush.
Oh, crap. The other cat just showed up. If you hear hissing and mayhem in the background, that's just what my life is like.
I understand.
The other cat is walking very slowly into the room. Oh, there it goes. I don't know if you heard that. Well, if a fight breaks out, we'll know why. I don't know if anybody in chat heard that, but it was, there's hissing and growling now. But anyhow, I think that for me, my personal motto is not, you know, is this the most profitable thing to do? But will this bring, how much joy will this bring into the world? And what is the cost for doing so? Is the cost, does it hurt anyone? No. Is it fun for, you know, kind of the people doing it and stuff like that? Good. Does it make people happy, and does it require a ton of resources? No. It's just kind of simple and nice, and for what it is, extremely well done. I think there's something to be said in knowing exactly what you can do and then doing the best job at it. And optimizing that process rather than being like, well, like, you know, the people who made, what was that game that like was like the most pre-ordered game on Steam, and then it came out and then it was so bad and so unfinished, the developers like, we're just done. Don't do that, right? Just keep it attainable, but make it really good. Do the best job you can.
Sure.
Always think what you can do to be better. And not only just for like a technical production point of view, but just a joy and happiness and what it's putting out there into the world. And if it's mean-spirited or isn't going to make people feel nice, like, does it need to be there? What are you gaining from that? I think. And just how can you make the world a better place if you're going to go to all this effort of making something?
So, know yourself.
Yeah. Know your limits, stay within it.
Yeah. But also, I think so often that's told as a cautionary thing rather than as a, you know, do something thing, which sounded a bit like more your message. Like, I remember doing something like that in my own life where I was like, what can I reasonably achieve? And then I tried to do that thing. And that's one of the reasons I ended up as a content creator, because I was like, if I'm thinking about the good that I can do in the world, and I know my own skill set and what I enjoy doing and what I think I'm good at, what does it make sense for me to be doing for that to happen?
Mm.
That was a question I asked myself. I spent like 2 years trying to answer that question or something very like it, and ended up accidentally, and I'm up in content creation basically. But when I was here, I was like, oh, this kind of answers the question.
So I ended up in content creation also accidentally, because all I've really ever wanted to do was to make people laugh. To make people laugh. I wanted to just, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cartoonist. Like, I wanted to be like Charles Schultz. And then I realized, you know, later that what I was really better at was the writing and not the drawing. And, like, not to say I'm not a serviceable artist, but, like, you'd think for somebody who works so hard at it for so many years, that'd be a little bit better. But, you know, at a certain point, you have to be like, well, what are my actual skills? And then I realized I'm not bad with writing, and I'm not bad with, like, the structure of writing, and so I can sort of take things apart like a puzzle, right? And so I realized all of my years practicing making comic strips made me okay at writing sketch comedy, and I met this guy at a university conference, and he was doing sketch comedy, and I thought I could probably write a sketch, because a sketch is just like several cartoon scripts stapled together. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of got into that, and then I was just sending in sketch stuff, and then, you know, it's like, it sure would motivate people to do these things that you've told them to do if you were in it too, right? One, because, like, you know, you want to see this made so you can help make it. And two, if you're going to ask somebody to say something absolutely bananas, then, you know, gives them a little confidence to know that you're willing to say it too. So I got into, like, actually being on camera, which is one of my least favorite things ever. And it's true. I didn't even know how to do makeup. I had to get, like, a friend of mine to show me how to do makeup and stuff, because I've never been like I dropped out of acting class in high school, like drama class, because I was like, I'm never going to use this. Which is not to say I'm not a huge class clown.
For almost everyone in the world, that would have made a lot more sense than for you. Although I think that I know lots of people who did drama through high school and even college, and I feel like they use the ability to, like, command a room and animate their body for so many things other than acting. It's like a useful skill to have for running a meeting or explaining what's going on at an event, or, you know, all sorts of other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like as an adult, I have had to put, like, every upgrade point I've gotten into charisma to sort of pull off my career path, but it's like, it's okay. I probably should have put some of those points into con, but when I hit, like, level 70 or whatever it is, I'll deal with that problem then.
Yeah, you can have someone else tank for you right now, that's fine.
Yeah. If only I could go, oh man, if I had to die as a septuagenarian fighting a dragon, I'd be very happy with that. That's such a good way to go out. Immolated immediately, but also saving the world from a dragon.
Oh, you're going to... I don't know that you save the world if you get immolated immediately. Regretfully.
In the process of casting a powerful spell, maybe.
Okay. All right. I don't think I could beat a dragon.
Yeah. Carados SA says the game is the day before. I think that's right. Can't remember what it was, because I didn't play it. I don't play any of them shooty games. But yeah, basically they were like, hey, let's make this super ambitious game. It's going to be awesome. And it looked cool, but then they realized they just couldn't do it. So they're like, all right, well, we're done. You can get refunds, but we're not doing games anymore. This destroyed us. And it's like, that's always very depressing.
It is. I do think it's hard to know for sure that you can make a game. It's a very hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can't imagine how difficult it would be to make a game. I've been stressing over a single D&D plot for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm. But you feel like it'll be good.
Yeah, I have amazing players. Okay. So because we've talked a lot about, like, you don't know what your main characters will do, which is true. The D&D, the session's really defined by the players you have, and my players are Cameron, Ben, Ian, and Wheeler. And if you're a Loading Ready Run fan, those names are meaningful to you. But if you are not a Loading Ready Run fan, they're 4 very fun people who are who know how to have a good time and not take things too seriously because it's a streamed D&D game, so it's going to be goofy and silly.
Yeah, it sounds like a good cast for sure.
Yeah. Oh, whoa, Cardo's essay is up on the deep lore of that game. They said they asked volunteers to code it. Big red flag. That's true. We looked up their website, and they had a volunteer section, and I was like, excuse me? What do you mean?
I've heard of volunteer playtesters, but volunteer coders, I don't.
That's just unpaid
before.
intern. Be honest, at least. Methalian says, okay, question, is Wheeler pedantic for D&D rules? Absolutely not. He is not. He's a D&D babbo, so he's not super pedantic like he is for Magic. What's the thing you're most looking forward to in 2024? You've probably already answered this question, haven't you?
Yeah, but I can tell you. And streams have a transient audience.
That's true.
And also, I don't know what the answer is right now, which is weird.
Oh.
So I'm going to try to play lots more Spire.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really love this game. So I'm going to stream lots of Spire. That is the thing that I'm excited about.
You already have like 9,000 hours in it, don't you?
Yeah, but this year I only spent 30% of my stream time on Slay the Spire, and the rest was on other stuff. And I realized that I was missing it. I have a couple of trips lined up. I'm going to LA and Chicago, definitely. Ooh. And I will try to make it to you all up in Victoria at least once.
You can play board games.
Yeah, the Slay the Spire board game should ship sometimes this year. And I have had a standing date to play it with Ben and the gang when we get a copy, which I think we thought was going to be a year ago at some point, but I don't know. That was overambitious, I guess. I don't think that's on them. I think that's on us. I think we were being unrealistic.
Well, it just takes forever to make board game components, I believe.
And I think a lot of the supply chain issues from the pandemic are still existing for that industry. Maybe they're existing everywhere. I don't know, but that's where it most seems to get hit. This is the second year that I'm spending in my house. The first year I spent trying to organize the inside of the house, and I've got it functioning pretty well. Just need to replace my microwave and my fridge. It's on the list. But those are like kind of like big purchases, and they're working fine, so I don't want to do it yet. But this year I'm trying to get the outside of the house functioning well, which is very exciting to me. I have spring bulbs planted.
I love gardening. This is like secretly my jam.
I have a variety of weeds, and I have planted clovers to fight them off. And every week the clovers have spread a little bit more through my yard, and I'm getting more and more excited.
Oh, clover is a god tier lawn replacement because it stays greener way longer. Mm-hmm. It doesn't use nearly as much water. It has flowers for bees. So it's very bee friendly, and it's if you do walk on your clover lawn, which is not as hard wearing as a lawn, but it's very soft. Mm-hmm. Just don't step on a bee.
Yeah, I am. I'm very excited about that.
So are you
those
doing?
Are the?
Are you just letting clover run all over the grass?
I have like a dirt patch that ostensibly looks like it was probably for planting things deliberately, but then it just got overgrown with weeds, and I'm letting the clover take over that. If the clover takes over the grass, I'm okay with that. I would love to get rid of my grass, but not enough to like actively do anything about it yet. I'm just watching the clover slowly spread. I think gardening for me is a matter of great patience and observation. I am very interested to see what will happen. And what will happen may take a year or something, so I'm good to just kind of chill until it does.
It will probably take more like, I would say probably like 3 years if you're doing any kind of like if you're like, I'm going to plant a bush. It's going to take like a couple of years before it starts to get to like any kind of decent size. But it's very, I don't know, I have a little patch that I put stuff in, and I find it very... like I find it nice. I like being like, oh, I'm watering my plant. I've got some flowers. you know, I'm not just looking at bare dirt anymore.
It's very easy to see that things are happening, and sometimes the things that happen just seem like straight magic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I put a little thing in the ground, and now there's a bigger thing. What's happening? I got a very small... Oh, here. I got a very small Christmas tree.
Are you going to plant it?
I'm thinking about it. The thing is, it's a big commitment, because very small Christmas trees then grow into very large Christmas trees.
Yeah. Wait, I wonder if you could put it in, like, a big pot, and then you could wheel it into your house because you can get those, like, bases with wheels that go under a pot and wheel it into your house and decorate it.
And I would just need gradually larger things to get it into the house. Eventually would be lifting it in with a crane through the roof.
That's true, but that's like 20 years from now, Jorbs' problem.
Yeah,
also, if you put it in a pot, it
absolutely.
probably will sort of top out on like how big it'll grow, one would hope. I don't know what coniferous trees do, though.
Neither do I. Maybe we'll just find out in 20 years. I'll let you know.
Experimentation. If you are going to plant that, just do me a favor and plant it a good 6 feet away from any foundational walls.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, I will be trying not to destroy my home. I've managed not to kill it so far, so off to a good start with that. I want to take a break before my next guest is here pretty soon, so I'm going to stretch my legs and stuff. Thank you for joining me, Kathleen.
You are great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for helping to raise some money for Free to Love.
Wonderful cause, lovely charity, and I hope everybody had a nice time. Jorbs, you're a pleasure and a good person.
Well, thank you. Do you have anything in particular you would like to plug, send people to, what have you?
Well, somebody asked in chat if I stream. I do. I stream with LoadingReadyRun, and you already had Serge from LoadingReadyRun on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he gave you all that, but I also have my own stream. So I'm in chat, I'm Brave New Faves, and I do a stream every Saturday night at 9:30 Pacific, where I just stream interesting new music from the year. And this stream this Saturday is a good one because it's the audience picks of the best albums of the year. So what will be the most popular albums per the Brave New Faves community? Don't know yet. I still have to go through my Google form and parse all the survey answers and stuff. But
What time do you start that tomorrow?
9:30 p.m. Pacific.
9:30 p.m. All right,
So
may
it's
be
very
asleep
late.
already. Yeah. But if I'm still up, I will tune in.
Oh, wonderful. Ooh, Max won. Somebody in chat says Mitski. Maybe. There's a good chance of Mitski being on there. All right. Well, I'm going to... How do I hang up? Do I just disconnect? What should we do here?
I will make you vanish from the stream. And then...
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Jorbs.
Bye, Kathleen. Thanks for coming out. All right, chat. I lost a defect run in there. Kathleen's lovely. I am a Kathleen fan. Yeah, getting to hang out with LoadingReadyRun people for the first time when I was invited to do the PPR was really cool. And they're close enough to me that I've gotten to go back and hang out again a couple of times, which has also been really cool. It is a great privilege of a streamer that you get to meet people who are just far, far, far cooler than you, and then they will inexplicably choose to hang out with you and spend time with you. I really need to use the bathroom. I'm going to get up to the collector fight, and then I'm going to take a short break. Just fade into the background being quiet because can't figure out how to hang up. We did great. We did great. Twitch chat. What are your favorite things from this year, and what are you looking forward to in the new year? Are you looking forward to more Cat Girls, Mayashi? I am not surprised by how Hades 2? Is there a release date for Hades 2 other than next year? I think this deck can take Deva form. We just got a gambling chip? Yeah, sure, why not? Sometime early next year. Alright, cool. Alright, I said I was gonna run to the bathroom. I will be right back! I will see you all in a second. Wait, Andor Season 2 next year? No. They can't possibly make another season of that. How did Disney let them make the first season, let alone another one?